All right, ladies and gentlemen of Crypto Traders, Crypto Traders News, CryptoTradersPro.com. I am Kurt Wooker Jr., and you are watching CoinCast. Our guest tonight is Tor Bair from Enigma. We're going to be talking to him about what the Enigma project is, what the coin does, and all the awesome things about Enigma. We, full disclosure, are not investment advisors. We're not telling you to buy or sell. None of that stuff. You need to do your own research, be your own boss, be your own bank, be all those things. You're in charge of you, people. Back to full disclosure. Some members of Crypto Traders Pro do own some Enigma, so we are fans. And since we are fans, some of us are also investors. I am not personally, but I'll be doing the interview, so that's what matters. Tor, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We really appreciate your time. I'm just curious, what's your background? How'd you get into cryptocurrency, and how'd you join Enigma?
My background is, well, I guess I should start at the beginning. I worked as a derivatives trader after undergrad. I studied behavioral economics, so I got real interested in incentive structures, what makes people do what they do. That led to trading, which is basically that writ large in the markets. Was fascinated, but it's not necessarily what I wanted to do for a career. So went back to get my MBA. While I was getting my MBA, I was at MIT. I met the co-founders of Enigma. One of them was actually teaching a class on blockchain at MIT. I took his course. I was hooked. I've been obsessed with cryptocurrency, decentralization, blockchain, pretty much ever since. That was about 2014. So here I am, 2018, working for Enigma, working with the co-founders who I met in school. It really is a dream. They're also brilliant guys. So yep. That's my story. Their stories are fascinating as well. But I'm just glad to be involved at a really exciting time for the space.
Absolutely. Are you a philosophical libertarian guy? Where's the decentralization love come from?
For me, well, I was also a poker player before I was a trader. So I have some issues sometimes with banks, but mostly what it's about for me is just the world has gotten over centralized. There's nothing wrong with organizations per se, and I think actually we have some amazing organizations in the world of crypto and blockchain, but I think that some of these centralized institutions really ought to be disrupted by better, more robust, decentralized solutions. It's part of what we're working on. It's part of what a lot of people in this space are working on. So I honestly think everybody in this space, even if we work for different companies and feel like we're in different tribes, we really are on the same team. Team decentralization, I really think it's unifying for us.
Yeah, amen. I love it. Okay, so trying to make the show better than the other shows, I really make a point of having about a week to prepare for every coin interview that I do. I read the white paper, I go through, I do a little bit of background research on everybody, and Enigma seems really different. The way that Enigma kind of popped out right away on the white paper was that there was a lot more talk about being something of a protocol layer. It's seeming like you can add value to any blockchain. It sort of reminded me of Lightning Network with a focus on privacy. Is that a fair assessment of Enigma, or does Enigma ultimately want to be its own standalone blockchain?
That's a really interesting question. I do think that we are solving a fundamental problem like Lightning is trying to do. For us, it's data privacy on the blockchain, and I can talk a little more about how we're trying to solve that and what the solution is. In a way, of course, as you said it yourself, we're different. Lightning is more focused on scalability and transactions, and we're very much focused on computation and data privacy. The way we feel is right now, blockchains are not a complete solution to decentralization. They're an incredible technology, but they're not a complete solution, and they need help. So what we're doing is we're building the Enigma network, which handles distributed private computations that happen off the main chain. We're doing it as a second layer solution. To start, we're integrating with Ethereum. And then ideally, on our roadmap, we would go from where we are now, which is chain agnostic, to chain independent, where dApps can run entirely on Enigma. That's the broader vision.
Okay, so my follow-up question was going to be like, what is Enigma in like 1 minute? So it sounds like is short term it's one thing and long term it's another.
I think they're more related than that. I don't think we're changing what Enigma is. I think it's just as we build the scale of what we're able to achieve, it's supposed to grow with the size of our developer community, with the applications we're able to enable. As the Enigma network grows and we add nodes and we become a robust network in our own right, this is where we're trying to go.
Okay. Cool.
So I can give you the 1 minute explanation that's sort of derived from the explanation I've given you, because I want to make sure that people who are listening and watching who don't really know anything about the project get that opportunity.
Let's be crystal clear. Yeah, I want to hear it.
Sure. So like I said, I just didn't want to run ahead here, but basically we're a privacy protocol in that right now any data that you're trying to put on the chain, there's a couple problems. One, the data is exposed. It's not private. And that's by default. Also, putting that much data on the chain and trying to run computations over it, it's prohibitively expensive, slow. It's just really not feasible. So what we're doing is we're taking the heavy lifting off that main chain, and the Enigma network is basically a bunch of nodes that are processing these smart contracts. But on the Enigma network, instead of smart contracts, they're secret contracts where the data inputs to the smart contracts are not revealed to the nodes themselves. So the nodes are able to compute without even having to know the data that they're computing over. This maintains the privacy of the data. It opens up a whole new world of different types of solutions that can be decentralized, anything that would require data privacy, anything with sensitive data or protected data in industry. That's essentially what we're trying to enable. Right now, smart contracts have pretty narrow utility. We're trying to expand it.
Very cool. My first question, anytime people talk about privacy, like there's a number of different things that make for great privacy tech. You know, you've got everything from Zcash to Verge, or in my opinion, Manero is the best cryptocurrency privacy. But there are lots of ways to handle it, and there's sometimes governance problems that cause a vector of attack to privacy, or other times it's technological problems. So my question is Enigma privately owned? Is it public? Is it open source? Like what is your governance model, and what effect does the governance have on the potential for privacy?
Yeah, so first I should make a distinction between Enigma and our approach to privacy, and then things like Monero, Zcash, which are privacy primarily for transactions, right?
Sure.
And that'll definitely help answer your question. So privacy for transactions is mostly focused on, anonymization.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is not privacy necessarily for the owner of the computation, but privacy for the computation itself. And the way that I draw this distinction is you can have a payment network like Bitcoin and have it be, pseudonymous. How do you pronounce that? Pseudonymous? I know.
It's pseudonymous? Yeah.
Right. Until you try to say it out loud, you don't realize how impossible it is. But essentially, Bitcoin functions well as is, right? You can say whatever you want about Bitcoin, but it definitely works, and it's the largest network that we've got. Privacy there is sort of a nice to have. Monero, Zcash, any privacy coin solution, it serves some people's needs, but not everyone needs that. My position is that when it comes to smart contracts, it's not a nice to have, it's a need to have. So we really need to have this privacy solution worked out, and it needs to be scalable. So by answering that, I can answer what you're saying about governance. Right now, the protocol's in development. We have the testnet coming and the mainnet coming this year. When that occurs, we fully intend for it to be open source. We have parts of our code open source right now that are around our data marketplace and Catalyst, which I can talk about in a bit. But those are open source. We're committed to open source. We want to work with the developer community. We don't want to centralize things when our whole mission is around, scalable decentralization. It doesn't fit. And I do understand the question, because I do see a lot of people who claim to be working on decentralization and then, they shut the doors and lock.
Right. For sure. Okay, cool. So then I guess the why. Where does Enigma, what problem did Enigma come from, basically?
Sure. The problem is data privacy, but where we feel the pain, like if you go about your day to day, right? Like, do you feel the pain of having your data not private or not being in control of your data? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But it is a real problem, right? And
it is.
The problem is when all of this data, you lose control of it. It's centralized by corporations like Equifax, Facebook, what have you. It creates security risks in the case of one. It creates, inefficiency and, rent-seeking behavior in the case of the other.
Right.
So Enigma really began with Guy, who's our CEO. He was the one who initially had this vision around decentralizing privacy. He was the author of the Enigma white paper, as well as his paper, Decentralizing Privacy. Okay. That one was very highly cited in the space. The white paper was downloaded, I think, over 100,000 times. These were very popular, but it's very popular ideas, right? Like, it shouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, sure.
If you can come up with like a real solution to, keeping your data in these centralized, vulnerable locations, with questionable oversight. That's what he was trying to solve. And Enigma sprung from that. It's evolved to where it is now, where it's an extremely broad vision for what that means. And when Enigma was originally proposed in 2015, the space wasn't where it was now. People didn't really see blockchains at scale. They didn't know what it was. Now, everybody in the industry is kind of talking about it. They're thinking, am I going to be disrupted by this? Should I be using it? The questions now are very different than the questions then, but the problem is still the same, which is what happens when your data is too centralized? How can we maintain decentralization but still protect private data?
Cool. It's great. Okay, so reading through the white paper, one of the things that stood out is that Enigma is not a currency, and Enigma is not a blockchain. We're both said in the white paper, and therefore is not mined. So then why is there a coin? What does the coin do? Or is it pre-mined like Ripple? Or what is the function, and what's the status of the coin?
Yeah. So ENG has a fixed supply. There were 150 million tokens created. There were 75 million distributed during the token sale. The token is ENG. The way that ENG functions on the Enigma network, it's critical, and not in the way that a token is said to be critical by any variety of projects, but on the Enigma network, it's an economic incentive. It works the way that gas might on the Ethereum network. It's used to incentivize nodes to store data, to do the privacy preserving computations, to execute the secret contracts. So it has a real utility within the network. And going beyond, that's just at the protocol level. So going beyond that, there's also utility for ENG at the application level. So we developed, as the first application to run on the Enigma protocol, we also built a decentralized data marketplace. And to use the data marketplace, ENG is used to access that data. If you license the data on the marketplace, you receive ENG from consumers who are using that data. They're using it on Catalyst. Catalyst is built on the data marketplace. When I explain this, I realize I haven't even mentioned what Catalyst is. It gets a little backwards, but what we're trying to do is there's the protocol layer. We built the data marketplace layer. You can build applications on the data marketplace. ENG pretty much secures the entire ecosystem.
Okay, cool. It's interesting. I like everything I've seen. Everything strikes me as very different. Everything that I've read about Enigma strikes me as special, different, unique. Like the whole time I'm reading, I was like, I've been involved in cryptocurrency since 2013. I consider myself pretty well versed in what I like and why. And as I'm reading all the stuff on Enigma, I was like, man, these guys all have done something very different. So it's cool. I was really excited about this interview. I don't think you covered. So is ENG a pre-mined coin like Ripple, or will it be mined, or what is that?
It's a fixed supply. There's no more ENG being created.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Okay, so next question. We got a lot of people that are super into Masternodes as an investment model. People want to have a Masternode. They earn their stuff, and it's their passive income, and they're running a little Raspberry Pi or whatever, and that's their little money machine. What role, before we talk about investment, any of that, what role does the Masternode network play in the Enigma ecosystem, or what role will it play when you're fully launched?
Right. So we get this question a lot. We tried to address it in the last AMA that we did for the community. And there's the answer everybody wants to hear, which is like exact numbers around, how much ENG is used to stake a node, how many nodes will there be, like what our goals for the network is. The answer that I have to give, which I'll give you now, is that until the protocol is live on testnet or mainnet, both of which are slated to happen this year, we're not in a position now to answer questions around how many ENG for a masternode, or anything like that. But nodes are critical to the Enigma network. We fully intend to be very communicative about it when we're ready to be. We've always taken a policy of like total transparency around this.
Right.
If we had an answer, we would give an answer. But the fact is that the growth of the network, the adoption of the network, everything really affects that number. So But we try to be as transparent as possible. And I promise that if we do this again, that you will get a better answer.
I appreciate it. So will there be a difference between a node and a masternode at some point? Or
this is something that has to come up when we're ready to announce actual figures. But I completely understand the question, and we get it a lot. So look forward to an answer when there is one.
Got it. I appreciate it. So Enigma is a top 100 coin, and it has a ton of features. Everything is special. Everything strikes me as, this has all kinds of value because of how unique it is in the space. Where should Enigma be in market cap? Should Enigma replace Ripple? Like, should Enigma be one of those top 10 coins that everyone talks about? CNBC saying, what is Enigma going to do next for the economy? Or does Enigma want to be, just kind of stay top 50 and fill a niche? Or, how ubiquitous do you want Enigma? Do you want everything in the universe to run on Enigma? Or is Enigma just going to fill a specific role in a niche?
Okay. That question I can definitely answer. So around being a niche in the space, right? What I said earlier about privacy not being a nice to have, but a need to have for smart contracts, we don't think of the problem we're trying to solve as a niche problem. We think of it as like fundamental to how smart contracts are going to have to operate, how decentralized networks are going to have to operate. So no, we don't think the problem is niche. Therefore, if we're able to go to market with our solution and scale the network, then there's nothing niche about the project. We know that we have to deliver. We know that we have to build a developer community. We know that we have to support dozens, hundreds of decentralized applications that want to integrate the protocol. As to, market capitalization, it's completely outside of our control. It's not something that we look at or remark on. I used to have a theory that, we would know that the crypto space had reached its full growth phase when Dogecoin was no longer in the top 100 coins. But not because it had collapsed, not because the space had condensed, but because it had grown so much that there was so many more coins with utility and vision that has sort of overtaken it. And now actually I'm starting to believe that Dogecoin does have some real utility and vision. So I don't even know where I stand on that anymore. All I can say is that I have full faith that the space as a whole is going to continue to expand. I am certain that we're going to be a part of it and that we're going to be solving this problem for years to come, because the problem doesn't go away. Every decentralized application is going to face this pain point, and we want to solve it for all of them.
Very cool. So I know this is not you saying this, but it sounds to me like the goal would be, why is Ethereum or Ripple where they are at if Enigma can do what they can do, but also have fundamental privacy? that would be.
We see ourselves as a project that has the same sort of scale of ambition as Ethereum. And when we look at Ethereum, we see that they've done an incredible job with their community and with their technology and with their approach and their ecosystem, which is why we're integrating initially with Ethereum. Like they are the model for success, I think, so far in this space.
For sure.
We're trying to learn from what they've done. We're trying to do what we do as best we can and build an as strong a developer community and hopefully stronger still.
Beautiful. So Bitcoin has been notoriously slow to develop while lots of smaller projects come up with the innovations. You know, Bitcoin's been launching Lightning Network for a year and a half or 2 years at this point. It's coming in 6 months for a very long time now. While lots of other coins they're banging out features. But then people say that Bitcoin will ultimately absorb all of these features. And I'm starting to think that Ethereum might also be capable of doing the same thing. So what's to stop someone like Ethereum from just adopting your protocol and just moving forward with it?
We get that question a lot too. It's not something that we're really concerned with. Again, it does come down to the network, right?
Right.
Let me take on your question about like Bitcoin or Ethereum, like this maximalist perspective of it's going to adopt every feature. It's going to be, this for everyone. I don't really believe that every project should be converging to Bitcoin or Ethereum. I think that's pretty dangerous. I'm not even sure I buy the idea that, one platform should rule all, that there are those types of network effects in crypto.
Right.
Basically, I don't think that like projects feed to other projects. I think people feed to other people. And I think that is what's driving innovation, is that sort of cross-pollination of ideas within the space. So I don't like thinking about it as like this project is going to suck up parts of this project or this parts of this. Basically, it's encouraging tribalism in a way that I think holds everybody back. Yeah. So I think everybody agrees on the problems that need to be solved, right? The Ethereum community probably feels identically to we do. Like Vitalik himself is saying, like privacy is one of the #1 issues that need to be solved for blockchains. We're just working hard to build a community that around that idea and to, build our developer ecosystem. And again, I don't really see it as competition. I just see it as like a universal solution that we're going to do the best job we can developing.
Sure. Absolutely. As a follow-up, what is your opinion of Bitcoin? And then also, what is your favorite coin or token in the cryptosphere that is not Enigma?
Oh, man. Well, my opinion of Bitcoin is still like nobody has done what Bitcoin has done. There is only one Bitcoin, and that's the one that everybody thinks is the real Bitcoin. Sure. And that's incredible, right? And the technology that's been built there and the way that the governance has evolved, it blows my mind. So I try to learn as much as I can from Bitcoin, and there's been all sorts of like other political disputes associated and everything else, but it really is still like what's working at scale. We should all be learning from that. Yeah. In terms of my favorite coins, I just have favorite projects, right? Like I like projects that are similarly building at the protocol level, that are really trying to solve fundamental problems in the space. Things like scalability and privacy. If I were to be investing on my own, and I should make clear that I don't, I don't actively trade anymore, and I have no intention of. Enigma has my full focus. But if I were, I would be really concerned with things like token economics. I'd be doing my own research and thinking about, is this a fixed supply? What is the creation schedule? How does the utility of the token work within the network? Because there can be projects that I personally love where the connection with the token is sort of nebulous, right? For us, it's very clear the utility of ENG within the Enigma network. For other projects, and I can't say which, but it doesn't seem as clear to me. So I would just say, if you're thinking about that, just make sure that your favorite project, also could be your favorite coin, because they're not always related.
Sure. I think that's a really thoughtful answer, actually. I appreciate it. It sounded like you might be one of those guys that thinks Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin. Were you alluding to?
No, quite the opposite.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It's something
Okay.
else. But there's only one Bitcoin.
Okay, sure.
Don't let anybody quote me otherwise.
Sure, gotcha. Okay, so Enigma focuses on adding privacy to existing blockchains as like the current step in the roadmap. Is that accurate?
Sorry, say again?
Enigma's focus right now is adding privacy to existing blockchains like Ethereum.
Yeah, right now where we're integrating to start is with Ethereum, and we want to add this ability for essentially secret contracts. That's the goal.
Okay. So given that that's sort of your area of expertise, if you were to look from a technological standpoint at a currency that is private, I'm a Monero fan. I think Monero makes the most sense because of its simplicity. I think its strength is its simplicity rather than some of the complicated stuff that other privacy coins talk about. I think ring signatures, ring CT all make sense to me. What is the most private or most anonymous currency, like payment token?
Oh, is it just me now?
Uh-oh, did we lose you? Yeah, did you lose me? Uh-oh.
You're back for me.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what happened. So, are we still live? We're good? Okay.
Sweet.
So, shorter version of the question, can you comment what is the most private or anonymous cryptocurrency, the most private coin in your opinion?
I don't necessarily know enough about the technology either to sort of dig into it and say, like, without a shadow of a doubt. I assume that anything we consider private now, we're probably going to find out in 6 months. We didn't know as much as we thought we did. So I don't like those kind of declarations. But I do like Monero. I mean, I think that they do a lot of things right. And again, I think they're the most successful so far privacy coin. You have to look at projects that have been successful to the extent that they have to learn something. And I'm sure that if something occurs where, they want to integrate another, privacy focused innovation around transactions, that would be something that they would do. I don't think they do what we do around, smart contract privacy, nor should it be their focus. But again, I think the best projects all seek to do that.
Cool. So in Utopia, in the perfect world for Enigma, what does absolute success look like for Enigma? What's the newspaper headline, or what's the thing where you guys are all breaking out the $1,000 bottle of champagne? Like, what does that look like?
World peace declared, right?
There you go. Yeah.
That's the headline. I know, right? It's tough. A lot of what we're trying to do is not headline grabbing. It's just that sort of like slow iteration towards decentralization. Like, this is a revolution, right? It's a decentralization revolution on the streets kinds. It's just like this technological innovation after innovation, developer communities building on top of ideas. We don't really know how well this all works at scale yet. We're still solving that problem. So for us, success is if we have a hand in reshaping the world, unlocking all of this value that's been caught up in these overly centralized networks, enable truly decentralized applications, restore some of that, power and control and value back to individuals away from institutions. Like, that's ultimately where we want the technology to lead. So awesome. That's my big answer. I don't know if it's a great headline, but again, I don't know if there's going to be newspapers in 50 years.
There you go. That's the right answer right there. I like that. So, okay, cool. If you could clear up one thing, like one giant misconception, like what question would you like to never hear again? What's the one thing that you want everyone to know about Enigma that they have wrong today?
Man, I think our core community really gets what we're doing. They've been phenomenal. They made some great infographics for us recently that show they have like a true depth of understanding about the project. But when people come into the community for the first time, there's a lot of misconceptions about the scope of the project or the focus of the project.
Right.
Some people think we're like Monero, right? We're another privacy coin. Some people think that we're only building some of these applications we're talking about, like the decentralized data marketplace. They don't really understand at the protocol level what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So the one misconception I want to clear up is like, and you can go to the website now, our homepage, and really see our story told, but we're really focused on this idea of decentralizing, data privacy, making privacy work at scale with blockchains, sort of combining the technology of blockchain with the technology of Enigma to create like a truly decentralized solution. Like I want people to really see us as that fundamental building block, sure, not as like who needs another privacy coin or who needs another data marketplace. Like we're really trying to build something fundamental that doesn't exist. Like you said, right. The project is doesn't look like anything else that you see.
No, it sure doesn't.
And that's because it's hard to do. If it was an easy problem to solve, somebody would already have done it or be working on it. And right. I think we were the first ones to really take this head on and try to do this like by building the community that we've done, mm-hmm. By having the network. We're excited to just like keep plowing ahead on it.
Cool. Well, we're getting close to wrapping up here. One question that I like to ask everybody is, how many developers do you have?
Ooh, let me count. We doubled our team within the last few weeks, so now I have to actually count. I think our full-time team is now up to 11 people.
Okay.
Most of whom are developers. There's a couple of us on the business side. We're a decentralized team, but we have a couple of centralized locations in mm-hmm. San Francisco and Tel Aviv.
Sure.
We're always growing the team if there's, good talent. And again, we're location agnostic for the most part. Those are just a couple centralized locations. I myself am in Chicago, which sure. is neither the Bay nor Tel Aviv. So yeah, the team's growing. Honestly, we'll keep growing as much as we can to support the project. That's the community as well. That's the developer ecosystem. Like, stay tuned over the next couple quarters because we're trying to do the scale, right? We're not a side project. We're all full time on this and ready to go.
For sure. Matt, are we getting any good questions from the Facebook group? Is there anything you'd like to jump in and ask Tor before we close up?
There was a couple pretty good questions from the Facebook group. Trying to decide what kind of correlation is there with Enigma and what ZRX, that's District X, is working on with decentralized transactions. So what's the correlation between the two?
All right, so hold on. Is it District 0x or is it ZRX, which is 0x?
ZRX, which is 0x.
Got it. No district. Yeah. 0x. Got it. Yeah. Correlation, I don't know. They are building a platform level, right? They want mm-hmm. people to build these decentralized exchanges using the protocol, and I got a lot of respect for their team. The correlation there, one of the decentralized applications that we're looking at building is Catalyst, which is a cryptocurrency trading platform that integrates with a lot of different exchanges. That's built on top of our data marketplace and is already active. We have, I think like tens of thousands of users now who've installed and used Catalyst to backtest trading strategies, trade cryptocurrencies on exchanges. We have live trading on, I think, like a dozen exchanges. So
sure.
There's components of our project that are related to like 0x and some of these exchanges. Mostly they're at the dApp level, right? So I think at the protocol level, there's not much connection, but we are both trying to encourage developer ecosystems on top of our projects. And in there, I think they've actually done an incredibly effective job. A lot of respect for what they've built.
Very cool. Another question I'm seeing from the Facebook group is, what are your feelings on the kind of the struggle between remaining really open source, really decentralized, having like all volunteer developers and that kind of project versus having a a corporate team, full-time paid developers, and that kind of thing. What are your thoughts? What are the advantages and disadvantages in your opinion, and what direction do you see Enigma going?
It's a spectrum, right? Like, these are not sort of opposing ideas so much as they are like points on a spectrum.
Sure.
And I think that if you go too far in either direction, you don't really end up with a good solution. So where we fall is, it's in the middle. We have a team. We all work full time on this project. Mm-hmm. We have salaries, but we are open sourcing the protocol. We're trying to encourage a developer community. We're working very actively also with the Ethereum community and with a few other communities as well. Like, we really want to solve these problems in the space, and we know we're not going to be able to do it alone. Nobody can.
Yeah, sure.
So we fall in the middle. We'll continue to fall in the middle. And again, we try to be as transparent as possible with our community. So we'll definitely always be announcing when there's additions made to the team, when something is open sourced, our governance model. Like, our number one priority beyond like closed or open is, total transparency when we can, just to like ensure that the community is fully aligned.
Sure. Is there like venture capital, or is there a parent corp or anything like that? Or was it just, you said Guy is the CEO. Did he just come up with the paper and start going with it? Or what's the...
I mentioned initially, like in 2015, we were exploring some of the like industry applications for the technology while we waited, I guess, for the world to catch up in some ways. So at the time, we did get some seed stage funding. Some of those investors were listed on our old website. Sure. That's where we started, and then we realized, that this necessarily needs like a public network. That's in keeping with the open source philosophy. I think the project's in a much better place because of it.
Cool. Is there anything we've missed? Is there anybody that deserves a shout out or anything while we got you live?
Shout out to the Enigma community. I don't know how many of you showed up to watch me, but I'm real happy that you guys are supporting the project. I'm glad that you let me bore you in Telegram and Discord sometimes, and I hope you guys keep asking awesome questions. Support this show because you guys let me talk too. And shout outs to the whole Enigma team, some of whom are asleep because they're in Israel, but they're all a great bunch of people, really, really talented guys and women who are working on this.
Yeah, very cool. Matt, do we have any other pressing questions before we close?
Nope, that's it.
All right, beautiful. I want to thank Tor Bair from Enigma for spending an hour braving the cold, windy weather and the train making all kinds of noise. Tor, really grateful for your time. Thank you so much. This is CoinCast. I'm Kurt Wookert Jr. You're watching us on Crypto Traders Group, Crypto Traders News, CryptoTradersPro.com, and everything else out in the Crypto Traders universe. Very good to have you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.